Well, my brake lights are lit up for no reason. There's no key in the ignition. The lights are off. So let me check those little plastic stoppers on the brake pedal. Alright, you can see right here in the floorboard, one of those little plastic stoppers broke on the foot pedals. It's all this plastic stuff here. So I'm gonna check and see. I'm pretty sure it's on the brake pedal. Alright, so here's one that's busted. It's on the brake pedal. So whenever I move it, see, it's gone. Okay, the brake pedal is fixed. Now I'm gonna fix the clutch. If you ever want to remove one of these stoppers, what you do is you grab the back side of it and you wiggle it back and forth. Then you break it off. Oops. This one's like kind of pointed. Like that. And then once the back of it comes off, once you get the back of it off, the front of it should come off. I got these off Amazon, paid $15 for 5 of them. But anyways, this is what the Honda ones look like. It's got like a pointed thing to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and stick this on the clutch pedal. I gotta get the sensor, this little plug installed. And it's right there on the pedal. Alright, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and pull the whole clutch pedal out. I did this about 15 years ago, around 2010, so these little pads on the pedals, they probably last about 15 years. So what I'm doing is a preventative maintenance. I'm going to go ahead and pull the ones off the clutch and replace those because one of them already broke on the brake pad. And if one of them's weak enough to break, then the rest of them are too. And I'd rather go ahead and do this while I got it parked here at the house where my tools are, so I don't get stuck somewhere, because that top pad on the clutch goes to your starter switch, and if it breaks off, you're not going to be able to start the vehicle and be stranded somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. Alright, I'm fixing to pull this clutch pedal out, and it's a lot easier than it looks. But the first thing you got to do is unplug the sensors, and they got the sensor right here. There's 2 of them, but you got to unplug it, the wiring harness to it. Then right up in here, this little pin, it goes to your clutch master. You got to remove that and dislocate that. And after you do that, you got 3 nuts and bolts that holds this bracket assembly on. There's one there, there's one on the top on the other side, and then there's one that goes straight up like this. And then that's it. That's all you gotta do is remove those 3 nuts and bolts and that pin and then the 2 connectors on the wiring harness, and it should come out. And I'm probably gonna have to see this bolt stud, see this stud coming out. So that means I'm gonna have to pull it out a little bit, probably about 2 inches towards me. And then I'm probably gonna rotate it clockwise about 90 degrees if I can, to clear some of the wiring up in here, and then slide it out. We'll see. That pin right there that holds the clutch master on the other side of it, there's a cotter pin holding it on. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a mechanic's pick and stick it in the hole of the cotter pin and pull it out with a mechanic's pick. So that cotter pin, it goes to the push rod of the clutch. Alright, in order to remove this cotter pin on the clutch pedal, you want to be able to get your hand back here like this on the back side. Then you also want to take your left hand and move it through the front side so you can touch both sides of the cotter pin and bend it and straighten it out the best you can. And then take that mechanic's pick and pull it out. You also need one of these mirrors right here so you can see the back side, so you can see the cotter pin and see what I'm talking about. So this is what we have on the back of the pin. that holds the clutch master in. There's a pin that goes through the clutch pedal that holds the clutch master on. And on that big old pin, there's a cotter pin, and it's on the back side. So what you want to do is you want to look at it with a mirror and stick your hands, try to stick both hands back there, get real comfortable under the dash, and stick both hands back there and try to bend it back and straighten it out like I did the best you can. And then once you do that, you can push it through a little bit with your fingers, and then you're going to take this thing right here, this mechanic's pick, and you're going to hook into it. You need a flashlight too, but you're going to hook in to this little hole like this with this cotter pin in this thing, and you're going to pull it out. But first you got to try to straighten it the best you can so it'll slide out easier, and it'll come out. But that's the easiest way to get that out. Alright, you're going to need a 12mm deep socket with an extension to unbolt this thing. There's 2 nuts on the firewall, and there's a bolt that goes vertical through the top of it. Hey, right here I got my ratchet. It's going on the back side, and it's getting another nut. See this nut right here? There's one on the back side on the top corner, and that's on there on that extension. Then there's one vertical right here by this sensor. These are all 12mm. That's all you need is 12mm ratchet with the extension and deep socket to remove them. I also want to show you how I have this socket extension on here that's going to the vertical bolt. Okay, I got it removed, the whole pedal. And even though I got it removed, I still can't get to that stopper. You see that stopper down in there? That pad. And it goes to this top sensor right here. So it might be a little easier seeing it to this crack here. So that's what I gotta remove. So I'm just gonna, in order to break it off, you can see the tab right there on the back side. So it's easy to get to. I'm just gonna break it off with my finger. Alright, after I took this thing out and I was playing with this pedal, flopping it back and forth, you know, like just examining how the spring works, the pad broke on it. See, here's chips of it right here. So I'm glad I took it off. Yeah, you want to change all these pads at the same time. When the first one breaks, you want to pull them all off and change them, or you're going to end up stranded. But yeah, it's the top facing part of it where it touches the sensor right here. You can see it's shattered. And that did that just by me flipping this pedal back and forth. So it's going to be easy to remove. I'm trying to focus, but see all that padding's gone in there. That's the top part of it. Then when I flip it over, the bottom part down there, there's where the plug went through. I'm trying to focus here. But yeah, it's gone. So I'm just going to clean it up and stick the new one on. Alright, here's all my tools here. I'm using this little spudger thing, or whatever you want to call it, plastic pry bar. This part right here will fit if you want to pry the head of these plugs, these pads off. This right here will fit underneath the head of it, and you can pry up on it. It might work. I didn't have to use it because the thing shattered, but this is one of the things I thought I was going to need. I got all the old plastic cleaned off of it. I'm going to try to put the new plug in with a flathead screwdriver. Now to install the pad, I went in through this bottom right here, slid it in through there. I took my little tool right here and went in like this. Let's see, there's my pad down there. I don't know if you can see it, but I went in with my tool like this, moved it around, got it to go in the hole, and then I pushed down real hard to try to get it to stick real good. And then after it stuck in the hole pretty good, I moved the pedal down
but I had to hold on to it with both hands. I had to hold on to this and this, and I moved it down real slow, and then I made the sensor push the pad in. So now that I got it moved like this, see how the pedal's different? I moved the pedal. You can see how the sensor here, how it'll press the pad into place. And then once it's pressed in, you're done. You don't want to touch these bolts right here. They're torqued to like some kind of factory spec. That's why they got all this blue paint on it. But yeah, don't try to loosen that right there. Just leave it alone. It's also got like plastic washers in between it right there and stuff. So if you over torque it, you might break all that plastic. So yeah, don't touch that right there. Alright, before I install this thing, I want to show you where all the nuts and bolts go. There's 12mm nuts that bolt onto the clutch master. One of them goes right here on the top left in this hole. One of them goes on the bottom right. And then you have a bolt, 12mm bolt, goes through the top, through this hole right here. It goes straight up vertical. Okay. Then right here where the clutch master bolts onto it, you're supposed to put grease here. You want to make sure there's a little bit of grease on that big pin that goes through here, and you want to put some grease, maybe like just a little dab right here on the pedal on both sides. So you want to re-grease that pin whenever you put it back together. And then after you put that pin in there, you also have these right here, these sensors. You got to plug those up, and that's it. Not as hard as it looks. Now to install this, I have to have the pedal in this up position right here.
Alright, to install this sucker, first thing you want to do is you want to get it on there, but you got to make sure this little part of the clutch master is over your pedal the correct way. Then you screw this nut down. Then you're going to go for the vertical one. You got to get the vertical one in the hole, because that's what's going to hold the pedal assembly in place. Then the nut that goes on the far back left, I put that one on last. Alright, to install this back nut, I can reach around here like this and get it on there and get it started, screwing it down just to make sure, you know, I got it on there in the right place. And then I'm going to take my tool to tighten it. Okay, I screwed it down as far as I can by hand.
Yeah, don't forget to re-grease this guy. It's a little pin that goes in the clutch master. It's supposed to have grease on it. I'm fixing to put some white lithium base grease on
it. Hey, you see that pin going through the push rod, the clutch? I got it re-greased. So I got that pin installed right there into that push rod. Last thing to do is to install the sensors, and I've already reconnected those. There they are right there. There's one of them, and then there's the other one that's connected, the yellow wire, and then the top one. So I'm done.